least 4 times recently, brazen thieves on mopeds snatched phones right out of hands. In other incidents, the victims were riding on the subway. One minute they're on their phone, the next the phone is gone. There are Reddit.
So as New York descends further into a lawless utopia, a new type of crime is surging. And whatever's in your pocket is now fair game for thieves who aren't just after your phone. No, in fact, they're after everything you have.
Well, police are warning shoppers to be on the lookout for pickpocketers. Investigators say they are seeing a rise in crimes, and now they're releasing surveillance video.
This is surveillance video of the 2 women and 1 man that NYPD is now looking for.
Thieves are taking advantage of unsuspecting visitors and residents and stealing their iPhones when they least expect it.
In Europe, my friend got her phone stolen there too, but I've never heard it here. I felt like we're safe.
This type of crime of opportunity is not new. Thieves targeting shoppers who place their handbags on their cart, often leaving it unattended.
I tell my family all the time, take off those noise-canceling capabilities because you just never know who's creeping up behind you. The latest incident taking place here on Steinway Street. Police say the criminals generally work in pairs, but in some cases, they've worked in a group of 4.
Number 1 rule, put your most valuable things in your front pockets. That's where it's hardest to get. If you can have secured with a zipper or Velcro, all the better.
It's such an issue in this city, they put up signs warning bar patrons to be on alert.
In the train or on the street, New York's thieves have got you beat. But what nobody's talking about is this is just another one of New York's entirely predictable predicaments brought about by the proliferation of lawless behavior throughout our city. And it should be no surprise that in a state with a $4.4 billion shoplifting economy, where criminals get off scot-free if they steal under $1,000 worth of stuff, that after enough of our drugstores and department stores shut down, thieves would set themselves upon the rest of us. Sometimes they're riding a moped and sneak up behind you. Other times, they're casing you while you're on the train going to work, or you're at the grocery store adding items to your shopping cart while the thieves are unloading items from your bag or backpack. And although the city's full of cameras almost everywhere, none of them ever seem to be able to identify thieves who can easily cover their face or wear a hat, hiding their identity just enough not to arouse suspicion, but also enough to let them take whatever they want and escape. And as you're about to see, what's even scarier is these thefts happen in mere seconds. That's all it takes for you to get distracted by something or someone, maybe even one of the thieves' accomplices. And while you're distracted, they reach into your personal space and remove your phone or wallet, and potentially your entire life savings, as these professional criminals will take your device back to their hideout, hack it, and drain your bank account. Which is happening to tourists and unsuspecting visitors in some of the area's most exclusive neighborhoods. So here we are in the West Village, an area known for its expensive apartments, cool cafes, and quirky boutiques. But although this part of town might seem safe because it's well trafficked and it's near a local college, that actually makes it the perfect target for thieves. And after the criminals target one neighborhood, they move on to others that are similar. And sadly, the police have no real answers for how to stop this.
Thieves are taking advantage of unsuspecting visitors and residents and stealing their iPhones when they least expect it.
In Europe, I was there recently and my friend got her phone stolen there too, but I've never heard it here. I felt like we're safe.
In Hoboken, this has been
So this broadcast came out last week. Apparently these thieves, they like to bounce around. During the holidays, you'll find them in Times Square, Rockefeller Center, and in the spring and summer, you'll find them here and then in Hoboken, New Jersey, which makes it look like they're following tourists and visitors. And all of these crimes have one thing in common, and no, it isn't the criminals. And no, it's not the asylum crisis either, even though that's what some people might think of when they think of a crime like pickpocketing that is relatively uncommon in America, but shockingly is rising. And most of the reports we're going to look at concern homegrown criminals, criminals of all backgrounds, and shockingly women. But the commonality here is that these criminals are all targeting unsuspecting victims who have their guard down. Someone at a bar, someone at a cafe, someone working on their laptop. And just think of what happens when you go out with a group of your friends. You guys find a table, you sit down, you put your phones on the table, and usually everyone's phone is on the table, but the scumbags, they're sitting around you, near where you are, watching you. But what's even better for them is if you take a backpack full of your valuables and put it behind you where you can't see it and they can. And the problem is you're out trying to either get something done or have a good time. That's your full-time job, but their full-time job is to steal from you when you're not looking.
In Hoboken, this has been a problem for months. Sometimes it happens when bar patrons get up to dance. It's happening in New York City, too. At least 4 times recently, brazen thieves on mopeds snatched phones right out of hands as New Yorkers were walking by.
Now, the important thing to remember is it's not just people who are at a cafe. This is literally happening all over the city. Anywhere you go that's a public space here could make you a target for criminals. That's just the sad reality of the world we live in. Everywhere we go, we're surrounded by criminals who are increasingly becoming creatures of opportunity. And these criminals know to go to places specifically where you're not going to be watching out for them. And what was going to be an evening of fun for you and your friends turns into an absolute financial disaster because it only takes the criminals seconds to get their hands on your most prized possession and drain all of your assets. They're getting good too, man. You go into a Starbucks like this because you're looking for a bathroom because New York doesn't have bathrooms. But as soon as you walk in, the criminals, they're already inside, lounging about, looking utterly harmless, looking casual, maybe looking like they're on vacation, maybe even drinking the horrible coffee that's in there. And they're just waiting for you to get distracted or let your guard down for a split second. That's all it takes.
There's groups of people out there that are bringing them most likely back to a central location, and the phones are either being sent elsewhere or sold.
In other incidents, the victims were riding on the subway. 1 minute they're on their phone, the next the phone is gone. There are Reddit threads dedicated to it and TikToks devoted to it.
Your whole life, especially now, is in our phone. So, I mean, we just want to safeguard.
So what's crazy is the sheer amount of information we keep on these little things right here makes us bigger targets than the actual banks that we're connected to through them. And the criminals, they want your phone, they know who they're looking out for, and a lot of times they work in pairs. And that really gives them a huge advantage. One person can be watching you, the other person can approach you, and when they distract you, their teammate can strike. And if you're at a bar or a club and someone bumps into you and spills your drink and then, oh, I'm so sorry, they offer to buy you a new one, check your pockets because your phone might be gone. But stealing a phone this way doesn't do the thieves any good. It doesn't help them get at your banking information, which is what the smart thieves really want. So how do they go about doing that? Especially when you need a password or Face ID to get in. Well, if they want to get your banking information out of this thing, they're going to have to do more than just steal it when you're not looking. No, that's not going to work. They're either going to have to steal this with the intention of breaking into it later, which can be done with readily available cell phone tools. A lot of repair shops have tools that help them get past basic security measures that aren't too tough. Or worse, they locate unsuspecting victims and manipulate them into giving away the password.
We meet at a bar. I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max. What happens?
I say I have, and I tell them take my information down. As soon as the phone's in my hand, I just ask them what's the code, or I watch them put it in before they give it to me. And then I kind of just talk about other things.
Is there an age of person you're looking for when you're out?
College, because they're more partying. And
that is unbelievably sneaky behavior right there. And having the key to your phone is like having the key to the vault inside this bank. With it, you can get into everything you're not supposed to. Venmo, PayPal, bank accounts, investment accounts. And since the thieves have your phone, they can reset everything and lock you out of it. Now it's theirs. They can transfer that money wherever they want, and they don't even need Face ID. Unless you turn on this little feature right here, which is off by default. Another thing that can happen is somebody will be recording you while their partner talks to you and gets you to unlock your phone. They'll record you putting in your PIN so that they know what it is. Then they can lift your phone and you won't even know. But what we're talking about here are people so sneaky. By befriending you, they're able to loot your bank account for hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially. And the reason so many people fall victim to this is because when we're out in public, we just assume that we're passing through and nobody cares about us. But that's not how these thieves operate or think. They are looking as hard as they can for the right person to rip off. And believe it or not, this was happening in the neighborhood north of here at bars and restaurants just a few months ago. And you had teams of women befriending men who were single at the bar alone. They would cause them to get intoxicated and distracted and steal their phone on the spot. Or even worse, they would make the victim think that there was some sort of after party after leaving the bar or establishment, and once everybody got outside, boom, their male thug accomplices would strike. And before we get into why this type of crime is increasing and why the police are powerless to stop it, you've got to understand that what's on your phone is easier to get to than the money inside a bank vault these days. And this is absolutely alarming. In 2019, the average bank robbery only yielded the criminals about $1,800. And the problem with robbing a bank, obviously, is you're being recorded, you're on camera, they might get your face. But if you can get your hands on somebody's phone, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Plus, you can disappear into the night. And between someone's phone and the amount of money you're able to transfer out and send to yourself and any other valuables you take, you might end up getting more than $2,000 with a lot less risk, especially in a lawless city like New York. So here we are, Rockefeller Rockefeller Center, a popular tourist area where people like to stand around, look at things, and get distracted, and that's exactly what's going on over here. Because most of the people here are tourists unfamiliar with the covered-up crime waves our city is experiencing, making them easy prey for scumbags and pickpockets.
So, how serious is the problem? We purchased this wallet and slipped an Apple AirTag inside. Then an Inside Edition producer stood around the iconic ice rink at 30 Rock with the wallet slightly protruding from the zipper pocket of his backpack, just like this. Then this lady takes the bait. She snatches it. Watch again, she sure is quick.
All right, we just got our wallet.
Did you see that right here in this same area? A normal-looking person was standing behind the producer and just reached into that backpack and took that wallet without a second thought. And let's be honest, is it even possible to visit New York without a backpack? Or a stroller where everyone puts their expensive stuff they don't feel like carrying anymore? Here's another big no-no. The water bottle holder, yeah, that's only for water bottles. You don't care if somebody takes this, and they probably won't want to, but putting something nice on the other side, bad idea. What happens a lot is if your purse is just hanging open, some criminal might walk by, reach in there, and see what they come out with. Or other times, they'll just unzip your backpack and reach in and then split. That happens too. Basically, if you're in a crowded environment, you don't want anything to be easily accessible to anybody. And if you have something that's really important, put it in the bottom of your backpack where it's basically impossible to get to, or in the bottom of your bag. Don't have your phone just floating around on top, sticking out. Unfortunately, my wife has a habit of doing that, and I do too. When I'm traveling and I've got like extra stuff and I just want to have something easy to reach, I might have it in a pocket that I'm not used to. I try to keep everything here, but you know, we all make mistakes. But that's the thing, now these mistakes are unaffordable.
Shoppers, beware. Surveillance video catches a pickpocket in action. Just for a split second, the shopper turns away from her cart. And that is all the man in the checkered shirt needs. His hands covered by a shopping bag hide what he's about to do. The woman, so distracted by the samples being handed out, has no idea this crook walked away with her wallet and handed it on to a...
You know, I think that pickpocketing has probably been around since pockets were invented. But that's the problem. In a tough economy, in a city that doesn't punish crime, this kind of thing is only going to happen more and more often, which is why the police are pretty much unable to do anything about it. Literally, how do you stop an entire city full of people that are struggling economically from not becoming criminals of opportunity when they know there aren't any consequences whatsoever for bad behavior here? And certainly this is a problem of modern progressive life, but you know what else is a problem of modern life? How addicted we are to these things. We're always checking them, so we want to have them in a place where they're just easy to get to and that they're never really out of our sight. That's what this is for. We've all got our phones within reach as close as we can. We want to be on them 24/7. But if we can reach them, so can the criminals, unfortunately. But there's another problem happening on our streets, making us even bigger targets for thieves than many of us even realize.
Police are looking for these 4 suspects, seen here riding a city bike and moped.
They'll ride up behind an unsuspecting victim and snatch their headphones right off their heads.
Not any pair of headphones. Their target, Apple's AirPods Max. The price tag, around $550. Authorities say there have been nearly 24 reports.
Right, you know, I get it. You're rich, you want the world to know, but you don't have enough money for a Lamborghini, so what do? You buy those AirPods Max and you wear them all around town so everybody can see how well you're doing. But you know, the noise cancellation works great because criminals are ripping these things off people's heads all over town. If you're walking around like that, you are signaling to the world not only that you aren't paying attention to your surroundings, but that you're probably sucked into watching a TikTok or something else that's just got you totally locked to the screen. But is that phone call from your boss so important that it has to happen right now when you could be in danger? Or are Joe Rogan's ever-changing viewpoints on things like aliens really that compelling that you need to know them right now when you're out here on the street?
The thieves are potentially using the 59th Street Bridge to get between boroughs. In the latest incident, authorities say the suspects snatched the headphones right off a 16-year-old on Steinway Street.
Talk about a city of criminals. These guys are riding around on a city bike, using that to steal from people. Those are trackable, and their city bike was probably stolen from somebody else. But this kind of thing is happening all over the place and in broad daylight. And if cities in Europe are any indication of where we might be headed, Paris, Madrid, London, this is a type of crime that once it makes its way to New York, it is here to stay. Especially when our criminal justice system has recalibrated itself from punishing criminals to protecting them. However, as somebody who's lived here for quite a long time, I can tell you that these new types of crime are sneaking up on us faster than we even know. In fact, when I first moved moved here, the iPhone had not come out yet. We didn't have smartphone banking. Somebody couldn't steal your phone and steal your identity and your life savings all in one split second. That wasn't possible, but now it is. And whereas in the past, you and your friends could go to a restaurant and throw your Nokias down on the table and not worry about anything happening to them, those days are long gone. But as New York City's laws on crime get softer and softer, and as we start to carry more and more of ourselves with us in tinier and smaller, more accessible packages that are easier for thieves to get, pickpocketing is only going to go up. And that's because not only will professional criminals realize this is a great business opportunity, but more and more regular people will just decide to become creatures of opportunity, stealing something from somebody at the grocery store or from somebody when they're on the train or at lunch. If they see a flashy object sticking out of a bag, they just grab it and take it. It's super wrong. It shouldn't be happening, but we don't punish these people. Is that what we should do? Should we throw pickpockets in jail? Would that put a stop to a rampant growing crime wave that we didn't used to have in this country? Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.